In MMA and boxing, the stare down is an integral part of a big fight. You can feel the intensity and magnitude of the fight during the stare down. Back in the day, Mike Tyson had the best stare downs. There was the time his opponent was bouncing side to side and Tyson was following him with his eyes like a tiger. Another time his opponent looked scared out of his mind, almost like he knew he was just seconds away from being destroyed by the greatest fighter of all time. WrestleMania is no different. The stare down can convey what a big deal the main event is. With this episode of Two Views Wrestling, we will look at my 5 favorite WrestleMania stare downs. Before we start the list, remember to hit a Stone Cold Stunner on the like button and put a $1 million dream on the subscribe button to stay up to date on everything from Two Views Wrestling. Number 5, Iron Man match. Wrestling in early 1996 was kind of crazy. WWE had garbage men, hog farmers, hockey players, and whatever the hell Bastion Booger was. In WCW, Hulk Hogan was battling the Dungeon of Doom that had a leprechaun, a Yeti that was dressed like a mummy, and whatever the hell the Zodiac was. So the fact that the main event of WrestleMania 12 was an hour-long wrestling match was surprising. It featured the 2 best professional wrestlers of the time, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. This stare down was cool because it was a close representation of MMA and boxing. They met in the center of the ring with Shawn flanked by his trainer, and the president of WWE, Gorilla Monsoon, was also there. The stare down also told a story. While the ref went over the rules, Shawn looked a little nervous and anxious. Bret was the quintessential world champion and looked cool and relaxed. What followed was a great professional wrestling match. Number 4, the Ultimate Challenge. The best way to describe this stare down is intensity. If you were a young wrestling fan during this, you didn't know what was going to happen. If you were a Hulkamaniac, you were nervous. If you were a little warrior, you were nervous. Hulk Hogan had never faced a challenge like this, and the same goes for Warrior. This match was bigger than wrestling. These were 2 cosmic forces. Like 2 gods came down from Olympus to do battle. This Mania had the electric cart for guys to ride down to the ring, and it really added to the drama that these 2 chose not to use it. This stare down is such a cool image as both guys are wearing their titles, Warrior is snarling, and Hogan looks almost smug. In the end, Hogan would fall to Warrior, so maybe he was overconfident, just like the story he told during the stare down. Number 3, Icon vs. Icon. Hulk Hogan was the biggest box office draw in wrestling. He crossed into the mainstream doing movies, hosting Saturday Night Live, and even starring in his own TV show. 20 years later, The Rock would completely shatter what Hogan did by becoming one of the biggest Hollywood stars in the world. Hogan vs. Rock was a dream match of epic proportions and was made for WrestleMania. This was Ali vs. Tyson and Mantle vs. Trout come to life. 12 years after his iconic stare down with the Ultimate Warrior, Hogan would return to the same building and have another one with The Rock. The crowd was electric during the stare down and completely eating it up. The reaction this match got was legendary, and every wrestler for the last 20 years has been chasing it. Number 2, Superman vs. Doomsday. Hulk Hogan vs. Andre the Giant from WrestleMania 3 is the most legendary match in WWE history. Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania was the strongest force in wrestling and had ran wild for 3 years. Hogan and Hulkamania existed and thrived because Andre allowed it. Usually in wrestling, the old star passes the torch to the next star. Andre didn't pass the torch, Hogan just took it. Something would have to give. Was the Giant truly unbeatable, or was Hulkamania really the strongest force in wrestling? 90,000 people showed up to find out the answer. The stare down is epic as Hogan is dwarfed by Andre the Giant. Hogan is literally shaking from adrenaline or fear or both. Also, shout out to Gorilla Monsoon for his iconic unstoppable force meets immovable object line. Number 1, end of an era. This is my favorite wrestling match of all time. Triple H and Undertaker had been in and won the most Hell in a Cell matches. They had done horrific things to people inside of the cell. Now they would be locked in there with each other. Add Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee and you have 3 of the best to ever do it on the grandest stage. These two got epic entrances and even the cell itself got an entrance. Everything about this added to that big fight feel. The awesome image of The Undertaker with his shaved head, eye to eye with Triple H and HBK as ref in the middle, is only overshadowed by the image at the end as all 3 of these legends stand at the top of the ramp, bloodied and battered. This was an iconic and epic match that truly signaled the end of an era. That concludes my list for my favorite WrestleMania Staredowns. Let us know in the comments some of your favorite Staredowns from the Showcase of the Immortals. Thanks for watching and remember to like and subscribe for more Two Views Wrestling.